Hi, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency.
Hello, everybody. Grady Polson. Welcome to the America Agency Call. I'm so excited to have Mary Kraft on with us today, joining us from her new, beautiful, gigantic office that she works with Nicolette and Jay in Scottsdale, Arizona, 65,000 square feet. I Googled it, Mary. Do you know that the size of a football field is 59,000 square feet? Literally, the office you are in is bigger than a football field. So congratulations to Jay and the whole Nonstop team, as well as yourself. But let's talk about you for a second. Chatting with you, and you're telling me you got babies, you had this doubts, this business, and here you are as a budding producer and soon to be massive agency manager, writing $40,000-$50,000 per month on this business. And that's what's so exciting, is to take someone whom did not plan on this. This wasn't in your life plan. Like you were content, your husband's doing well. But now you see an opportunity, you go, I'm destined for more, and I'm excited about it. And I just, talking to you for a minute and Nicolette sings your praises. I'm just so excited to have you on here because there's so many people that are in your shoes. They're terrified of taking a leap of faith. Terrified. They got kids, they got jobs, they got careers, they got other businesses. They can't believe the money that could be made here. Heck, none of us believe it, right? We pinch ourselves when we wake up on every Tuesday morning when those America deposits hit, right? So without further ado, I'm so excited to have you on. Long time coming.
Yeah.
But without further ado, welcome to the call. And how are you doing today?
I'm great. I know you said I'm here in Arizona right now, and this office is insane. I love getting to work in person, but I'm actually I live in Illinois now, so I bought back and forth quite a bit. So happy to be here. I love being here in the sunshine. Was doing content all day today, so I'm just fired up. I'm super excited to be here and kind of talk to sales specifically. You know, how I got started, where I came from, what I did along the way, and how I do close at a high level very efficiently with a full schedule between personal obligations and being a mom. I came into this business. I loved my job. I worked in a med spa and I love all girly things and I loved it. But I realized every career has a cap. You know, you can't be a grocery clerk making $300,000. You can't be a med spa manager making $500,000 a year. Like careers just have caps and it's nobody's fault. It's just like a fact of life. And felt suffocated. I felt capped. I mean, I came from a great salary. On paper, $80,000, is a lot of money. I was young. I'm only 30. So 8 years ago at 22, you go through college, which I went to Arizona State, and people say you're going to get this job. It's going to pay 60 grand, 70 grand, 100 grand, right? And you hear these big numbers and you think that that's it. So I got it. I went and I got it and I was like, this is amazing. But what they don't tell you is the cost of life. Like, yeah, that's great. But now throw in 2 kids and a husband and a dog and daycare and bills and groceries and rent and 80,000 and him making, that or more. We were breaking even. I mean, I was broke and I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? I'm capped. I'm building this business for someone else. I work really hard, but I'm not making any more. And I understand she's a business owner. She wants to make money, but I'm capped. What am I going to do? So that's kind of how I started looking into sales. Nicolette actually was a friend of mine's stepsister. So she'd come into the med spa all these years ago and she'd spend money. Okay. She was buying products, services, thousands of dollars, didn't care. And I was like, what is she doing? What does she do? I want to do that. I couldn't even afford a service that cost, what like the discounted rate was. So I found her and I reached out to her and we booked a call. And I remember I took a lunch break. I was sitting in the parking lot in my car and I was intense. I was like, who's your top producer? What do they make? Is this ethical? Show me your bank account. Is this legit? So I've got a family, right? I have a good job and I've got a family. This got to be legit. She was like, okay. And she was like, well, they make this and here's this. And I was like, I'm in. So I went and got my license October and then I was licensed and I was doing it part-time, full-time. So I got my license in October, November, December, I was part-time. But for anybody in this business, maybe you're part-time right now, or you want to get into it and you're thinking, can I be part-time? Can I hold a job and a salary and come into this part-time? And there's a lot of things I wish I would have done sooner or changed. And that's one of them. I didn't make any money part-time. I made probably no money.
What were you issuing?
What was I issuing? $4,000 or $5,000 a month IP. Yeah. And I was spending on leads, so I was like breaking even. Maybe I made a couple $100. I wasn't really doing anything and I was killing myself. Like if you're part-time, be ready to like work 2 full-time jobs. Like part-time in this business is 2 full-time jobs. So I'd work 8:30 to 5:30 and then I'd dial 5:30 to 10:30. I'd buy a Hawaii license and we'd sit on Zoom or in the office and we would dial, 5 hours a day, every day, and then 8 and 9 hours on Saturday and Sunday. And I didn't make any money. And then I go to convention in January. I see people getting awards, all these different stories. I'm fired up. I'm writing IULs and annuities and that's it. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I hadn't hardly even sold life insurance. And I get back and, long story short, I was a ding dong. I was young, dumb, didn't communicate things correctly with my boss. She finds out it's this big problem, which I get it. And heated words were exchanged and I quit. That day we were going back and forth saying some things and, we moved past it, but I was like, I can't come back to work for you. This was like February 22nd. Okay. My rent was due on March 1st. We were renting. My rent was due on March 1st. And I was like, holy shoot, and I called Nicolette and I said, I think I'm full time now. I think I have to do this full time. We're really doing it. So I got forced to go full time. And 2 years later, being in this business, 2 years later, it was the biggest blessing of my life because I never would have been ready. I never would have been ready to go full time. I wasn't making money. I didn't have savings. I had nothing but like a crazy belief in myself. And so when I went full time, it was really pedal to the metal. And this is something I think is super important, on like why agents make it or maybe they don't. I always got told 1,000 points or, we're going to work 10 to 15 hours a day because you need activity. And Nicolette was like, so I kept telling her, you're not going to let me fail, right? You're not going to let me go broke. You're not going to let me like not pay rent, right? And she's like, Mary, I can make money in this business. You follow what I say, I'm going to help you make money in this business. This is what we got to do. We got to dial. So I went to work 10 to 15 hours a day, 1,000 points a day. And then I think that's so important for things to people to understand in this business is you've got to put in the dials. It's an activities thing. And these new inbound leads are amazing. And I'm going to actually run them myself, but that wasn't a thing. Like you had a dial, I could only afford $1 leads. So I bought as many as I could. And I sat there and I dialed 1,000 points, 1,000 dials. And, maybe 10 people picked up. And out of those 10 people that picked up, 6 kind of let me talk. The other 4 hung up. Now, out of the 6 people that let me talk, 5 let me present. Out of the 5 that let me present, 3 picked an option. Out of the 3 I got into an application with, only 1 gave me banking. So what I realized really quick is it's a numbers game. For anybody in this business, sales is a numbers game. So you have to put in activity. When you're feeling like you're in a slump or things aren't going good, go back to activity. 1,000 points a day. A call is a point. A presentation is 100. So is close. So like, 500 dials, 5 presentations, or 600 dials and 4 presentations, any combination to equal 1,000. And if you do that every single day, rain or shine, whether you want to or you not, you feel like it or not, you have money in your bank or not, you're going to build momentum to become successful. And that's what I saw, because I started February 22nd. I did not make my rent payment. I called my mom and borrowed money. I took out a personal loan, but I was like committed to doing this. And then March was my first full-time month, like producing. And then April, I IP'd over $40,000. So I don't think it's like a coincidence. You know what I mean? I think going through the basics, dialing the phone, putting in the activity on any kind of lead is really what's going to help you build that skill set to continue when you're starting.
So first off, Mary, you're a rock star. So that was a fantastic breakdown open, and holy cow, I am so excited to see where you go in this business already. But let's just break down a little bit here for a second. So you got introduced going in October, right? Nicolette, who I love, did a phenomenal job of showing the business and being someone who's attractive, that could attract someone like you, who's a driven young woman who's looking for someone who's strong and confident, right? That's part of leadership, is exuding not just the lifestyle, but the qualities at which someone wants to mirror and be around. So cheers to Nicolette. Yeah. But there's value in that October through February timeline, right? Throughout that period of time, you were on calls, you were around the business, you'd seen success. Your belief was so freaking high, because although you hadn't been selling much, you're like, you see, 2,000 people write over $10,000 in our company. Or what was the number? I apologize. So last month we did 72 million. And 6,700 people were issued a policy. So that means FFL's average agent makes over $10,000 a month. Average. Now, some make 100, 200, some make $100, right? But the average is significantly higher. So you saw it. And so that gave you that confidence come February 22nd. I just need more time at this thing. If I could dial from 8:30 to 5:30 instead of being at the med spa, what could I do? Yeah. And so so anyone that's out there that you haven't quit your thing or given or just gone all in, don't begrudge the time you're on this call or you've listened to trainings. Because for me, being honest, I got started with Andrew about 6 months before I went full-time in. And I was listening to calls. I was on calls with the leadership. I was listening to Sean go bananas on calls back in 2017 and going, okay, like this is the thing. And that time gave me the confidence to walk away from my software company and all that shit. So yeah, I love that you had that experience, because you have this story to tell that people that are here, like, let's just collect up and be good shepherds for people and go, you don't have to burn the bridges today. Like, but there's a future where you're going to have to walk away from the thing that you're a part of. Yeah. So that's awesome. Mm-hmm. 2, 1,000 points a day is a phenomenal concept that I've never heard before. 1 point is a call, a presentation's 100, and then a close is 100. So if you close, you get 2 points, 200 points. Yeah. So 1,000 points a day. So why don't you just close 5 clients and you get your 1,000 points? So where'd you learn that? Where'd that come from?
Nicolette, everything. I am so grateful for her. She knows this. From her, because I mean, I was in a panic. And you're right. Like in part-time, it wasn't for nothing. Like I was getting comfortable. I was learning the script. I was getting familiar going through applications, like all the things you need to be successful. I did. There was so much value in that period. But everything I know, it's from her. I mean, that 1,000 points came straight from her because I still was panicked going full time because I didn't have the proof of making a lot of money. So she said, you're going to be great. This is what we're going to do. We're going to do 1,000 points because if you're putting in that kind of work, it's literally not possible. Like Andrew Taylor says, like I've heard him say a million times, like he sucked. He wasn't the best salesman. He just worked the hardest. He dialed the most. He put in the most time. So I'm going to guess that's kind of where that came from, but it works. It 100% works. So I love to say that for anybody new, that really should be the guideline we're going off of. And if you're not making money, we need to look at that activity.
Now, for you, was there ever an ambition to be your own boss or to start your own business? Or did you was it hiding in the background while you got the job at the med spa? Like, I'm going to open my own med spa one day. I can see what they do. I can find a couple RNs and order my own Juvederm. Like you could have figured it out, right? Was that in there, or did you get inspired a different way?
I feel like naturally in my roles, even like just from being young, work roles, I just like somehow got put in like management or leadership positions. So those in sports, I grew up playing sports. So I feel like those qualities have always been there. And then anytime I'm put in a position where I need to hire, train, and develop, I've always done really well. I think I kind of always just thought I would do it for someone else, but be paid like 200,000 or so to do it, and shoot, back then when I was going to leave, they could have paid me 90 grand and I would have stayed. You know what I mean? When I was making 80, they could have just given me 10 more and I would have stayed. So I don't think I actually thought I would have my own business or be my own boss or really be in a situation like this. I never thought. I thought I'd do it for someone else.
Would you ever go back?
No, I go back for services. I love back. They got great people. My friends still work there, but no, there is no job that could pay me any amount of money that'd give up this, not only financially, but as a mom, the freedom and the time that I have to do what matters most and whatever that is for you. For me, it's my kids, and my husband and my family. So no, there's no job I could take that would give me that kind of freedom and income. No way.
Amen. Okay. So let's dig into, all right, we got you go leap of faith, February, then you March, you're starting to sell, doing a couple of future draft dates. April, you get after it, issue pay 40, just, had to go right to 40, which is what winners do. So great job.
Thank you.
Then was it lead flow? Was it, obviously you got more time.
Yeah.
Let's kind of dial in what leads you were running then, some things that happened those first kind of 3-6 months. Some advice that you can parlay for those that are in that same boat.
Sure. So when I first started, that first month in March when I had no money, I was running leads that were given to me that were like very aged, like a year old aged, from Nicolette, and maybe others. And I was so grateful. I didn't see it as a year-old lead. I saw it as an ROI. And then I just hit them hard. And again, I worked 12, 15-hour days dialing them to squeeze any juice from there to make a profit to put back in. Because then once I started making money, I did $1,000 a week on, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but life jacket leads. So Ben, his name is Ben. You can find him on Instagram, life jacket leads. He does veteran leads and I loved him. I loved working with veterans. I still do. And I would do $1,000 a week on fresh. So I would get like 20 to 30 leads. And I did that rain or shine every single Friday, whether I closed 5 or I closed none. And I did that for months. That's all I did for months. And then I did it consistently. And I think that that's really important for agents. Some people will spend 1,000 and then when they don't make a sale, they won't do it again. But it's important to continue to spend and invest because you can always go back. Like I closed leads that I got 3 weeks ago. You know what I mean? But I also need more to put myself in that position later. So $1,000 a week on aged vets. I dialed them 6 days a week, 12 to 15 hours a day. And then if I was given leads, I'd run those too. And I was making great money. I loved working with them, but the cost per lead was kind of high. When you're paying vendors for a fresh lead, they can range from 30 to $50. So I wanted to find a way to get them fresh to me. So I started figuring out how to work with people to do the Facebook ads because that's all really most vendors do is a Facebook ad. And then it gets passed however. And I found a company, Leads for Life. I researched a ton. And a lot of times when you're trying to get into Facebook ads, people want to charge an arm and a leg to even set it up for you. I'm talking thousands of dollars to even get started. I think it was like $500, which was great. And then you can pick your ads if you want to work mortgage or veterans or final expense or IULs or parents. And I started doing that at about $90 a day, I do believe. And I was getting the leads for cost, anywhere from 11 to $21, really depending on how it was. They were going in to go high level, which is a CRM. The CRM was automatically sending them messages, pushing them to book. And that's when the numbers really started going up because I just had higher ROI. I wasn't spending as much on leads.
Which is, I mean, you gave a masterclass right there on lead evolution. That is huge. I mean, yes, key part, if there was one part, is she bought leads every single week, no matter how she felt, no matter the results, because buying leads is essentially like buying real estate, right? There's always some value you can get out of that. There's a follow-up down the road. There's options for your new agents, etc. There's people that are selling leads today that they bought 2 or 3 years ago. The leads are finally just going, you know what? I've been ignoring this text, but now they hit me from a different number and now I'm actually ready. Life insurance. Yes, I know we need to get that done. So I love that. Into a high level. Now, your first year, you said from March to the end of that year, what did you issue in that year?
390 under me, 390,000 from March to December, my first year. So I was.
You couldn't have pushed her to get 10 grand more so she could have got a red jacket? So at 400,000, guys, those who don't know, we have a rank called Hall of Fame, and you get a red jacket, and it's very nice. And you walk, trust stage, etc. But 390 ain't nothing to be upset at. So
no.
But that's huge. Like, you just went after it. Now you have a family and the whole family, right? Spouse, babies, and now you're producing at a significantly high level. How in that period, or then to now, how are you managing that? What's your schedule?
Yeah, my schedule, and then it's a lot of managing and a lot of working, and different levels is just different chaos, I would say. But I get up every morning. I get to do, I help get them ready, shower time, hair, brush teeth, pack lunch. My husband brings one to daycare, and then I'm on bus stop. She gets on the bus at about 8:05. So I get her to the bus, and then when I get on, I'm sitting down for my day around 8:30. And from 8:30 until I have to pick her up at 3:15, it's work time. Whatever appointments I have or I'm dialing, I am like executing in those hours. I'm not calling carriers. I'm not sending emails. Like, I'm strictly doing money making activities in that time frame. And then I'll get her from the bus stop and I'll come back and get her, a little snack and get her set up doing whatever. And then I'm back to work. Usually in like the bus stop window, if I have to make a call to a carrier, I will. And then when I'm back, it's dialing again. I'm dialing from 3:30, 6:30, 7. I still work a lot, and it's not because I have to. But it's because I do have agents under me, and I do want to lead by example, and I do want to lead from the front, and I do like to sell at a high level. It gives you a nice cushion to reinvest back in your business. So I'm working from about 8:30 to 6:30. I take that break, and if I have an appointment, I'll go to it, or if I want to take a break, I can. But I love to work. I love what we do. And that's my schedule. I do it every single day, rain or shine, every single day, no matter if I got paid 10 grand or no grand. I'm still doing that. The same amount of dials, the same amount of activity. Even 2 years later, it's the exact same.
Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday, and I'll work some Saturdays.
Got it. And then how many babies do you have?
I have 2. I have 2 daughters. One is 6 and one is 5.
Oh, God. So are you getting both at the bus stop at that time at 3?
Only one. So one's in daycare. My husband does pick up and drop off because it's by his work. And then I am in charge of the 6-year-old, the bus stop, pick up and drop off. So she's great. She's 6. She just needs a snack and a little show on, and she's wonderful.
Hey, I got it. And this is a big thing. Like, people go, what about work-life balance? What about family time? What about, too much screen time? I got it. I got 4, and I'm fighting them for, reading books and turning off, all the things. Yeah. But you're in a season right now, and it doesn't have to be a 3 or 5 year season. It can be a 2-year season where you, and I'm talking to you, I'm talking to everybody, where you have an opportunity to work 12, 15-hour days, 5-6 days a week, build up a bank account, build up a skill set, build up an agent base inside of a company that is reinvented the entire industry, and you can build your own agency. I have no doubt you're not going to be at 500,000 or if not 1 million by the end of the year, a month. And that income from that now creates time freedom that you don't get when you do have to sell
Yeah.
1,000 points a day.
Mhm.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, and I'm talking to you right now, like I love my kids more than anything. I'm sure you love them just like, you love your children, but
Yeah.
like we have to miss sometimes in order to create something so we never have to miss anything. And it is a hard decision to make while the world might judge us or our friends might judge us or those other moms in the neighborhood might go, why can't you come to the park right now? Well, I got 3 appointments right now, people that want to spend $80 and I'm going to make $3,000 in the next 3 hours and they just won't get it. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like we don't have to justify or explain ourselves to anybody because you're creating something that is unshakable. And so like to hear you lay down that schedule, it's tough, right? Because you're like, mommy, will you sit on the couch with me as we watch a show?
Yeah.
I'd love to. And then sometimes we do, right? Sometimes we sit down for a half hour and we'll have a snack together. But then you got an appointment coming up in 45 minutes. You're going to get back in the office in 38 minutes. Make sure nothing's on fire. Make that call, make that sale, and look out there on the couch and go, hell yeah, I'm doing this for you. And that's right there is what we can do here that no one else can. You can't go sell a house in 45 minutes. Mortgages take 60 days to close. Like we have an opportunity. You have an opportunity. Everyone on this call has an opportunity to do something that's remarkable because we have millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of clients looking for what we sell. So, I'm excited for you. I'm proud of the schedule you have because this is what it takes.
Yeah.
And you have to make some sacrifices right time, but like as fast as you can go so that you can then now get to a point where your business is rolling. And then now you're the art masterpiece mom. And then you're the pickup and drop off mom. And you can do what you want to do while you're running your business from your phone. Because when we're training, like we can do that all mobile, right? We can sell we can train from anywhere. So I don't know. Any comments on any thoughts on how you've gotten to this point in there? Because that's the thing that everyone always go, well, I do too. I want to be with my kids all the time, but they honestly don't need me all the time. Yeah. They need to grow as people too. So,
yeah. I mean, I think just in general, because if I wanted to now, could I have more freedom? Absolutely. Because I did. I learned how to sell at a high level. I learned how to sell, correctly. And that's kind of things I'll speak to too, because I think what takes somebody from like a $10,000 a month producer to like 40 and 50 is a skill set. And doing things that other people don't do and like carrying yourself as a professional and so on and so forth. So where I'm going with that is, could I do all those things now? Sure. Are my goals bigger? Sure. So that's what I'm focused on, but not everybody wants to do that. And that's fine because I make multiple 6-figures selling life insurance. It's wonderful, but there's a skill set there that I think, it sometimes might be tricky, or maybe people don't know where to go to get the resources. We've got great trainings, great uplines, and everybody does it different. So I think honestly, if it's okay with you, I just want to share some like sales tips and tricks that I use that I think could be really beneficial for agents on this call that are dialing leads every day, and how maybe they can close more deals or find higher intent from the jump. I do things a little bit different, and I know when you get on and it's all based on your upline, we start people at a bronze and a silver. It's on purpose. You're going to get bodied. We want you to learn that skill and practice that objection. I think that's important. I think listening back to your calls is important. I listen to Ringy every single night while I was falling asleep because there's something about hearing yourself in a sales call and lose it, whether that's on intro or in it. You know it. You pick it up and you won't make that mistake again. So, listening to your calls on Ringy, practicing your objections, reading your script before and after, not during the day. When you get on as a new agent, the worst time to like read the script is on your first call with the client. You're not going to sound ready. It's going to sound like you've never read it, that you're reading a script. So make sure for new agents that you're putting in the time outside of, your dialing time to like give yourself an advantage, be different. But speaking of calls, right? Like I said, we do bronze and silvers to start on purpose, but the goal is to get off of those to another age lead as quick as possible. Closer leads, I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but CLOSR leads, or anyone, I'm just saying that because that's who we've been dialing right now, they have great age leads, age veterans, truckers, IULs, mortgage, whatever. And they range anywhere from $2 to $8. I think that that's a step above a silver or a bronze when you're starting, because working class people, maybe a little bit better budget, might be looking for something different. But when you're going through it, a lot of times, whatever your script is, I want to qualify the client right away. I want to kind of like establish dominance, and this is how we do things, and this is what we're doing, and get them to agree with me in the beginning that if everything is good, we're going into an application. So one thing I do, and if you guys are going to implement this, don't just implement it twice, say it doesn't work and throw it out. If you're dialing an age lead, age trucker, age vet, age mortgage, or fresh, after I kind of explain who I am or what I do, I'm like, listen, Grady, anytime that I work with my clients, I have 3 goals. I like to keep it super simple. Number one is just find an insurance company that's going to approve you. I know that sounds silly, but they don't all take the same height and weight. They don't all take the same medications. They don't all take the same health conditions. So number one, find somebody who's going to approve you. Number two, we want to make sure, Grady, that we are looking at something that is affordable for you, because your budget is going to be so much different than anybody else I've helped today. So we can talk about coverage amounts all day long, but it's not going to hold any water if you can't afford it. Do you agree? And then they say, yeah, well, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. And then number 3 is to get you as much coverage as possible for whatever you can qualify for and afford. The way I'm able to do this, Grady, is we have an underwriting software that syncs up to every carrier here in the state of Arizona. So when I put in your info, it's going to show me exactly who is going to approve you and then list them from least expensive to most. So I'm going to make sure I'm getting you the best bang for your buck. Does that make sense? And they say, yeah. So I've kind of established 3 very important things. And then I say, great, if I can guarantee who's going to approve you, make sure it's affordable and get you as much coverage as possible, is there any reason you would not apply? I will not move forward on that call unless they say yes. And literally 9 times out of 10, they say yes. And then I go, great, are you a smoker or a non-smoker? And I'm right into my needs analysis. But I've established like dominance, because I'm sure you guys can relate. We get people that come and say, I want 500,000. Well, John, you're 72, you have COPD. We're probably not going to get that. And then when you can't get it, they're like, well, never mind, hang up, or whatever the case. So I think just like being able to establish that and say it with conviction helps get them from options to application to close. So I would highly recommend implementing something like that in your calls, just to kind of weed out or figure it out. I had someone implement it and they said, well, my wife and I, we like to talk it over together. Perfect. You know what? My husband and I were the same exact way. Let's do this. What time are you guys typically home and settled together? So now you know that that's an objection that probably is going to come up. So let's, book an appointment, because if you give them options, they're probably going to say the same thing. Now you just like showed your hand and they're not going to do anything. So it kind of tells you what that objection could be before you even get into needs analysis or options. And then you got their verbal commitment to going through an application. So when they're like, I don't know, I'm like, well, John, you just said if we did all this, you would. So what's going on, I think that is super helpful. That was a game changer for me. I implemented it my very first year, like 2 months in, and then I've used it ever since. And then I feel like it really makes a huge difference. So if you guys can take one thing away and add it to your calls, I would highly recommend something along those lines, just to kind of beat an objection. I don't know if you guys run into this a lot, but I do have people that work with me, and I ran into it as well, where it's like information constipation. Like you're on the phone with this client and you don't even know what to show them. Do I show them whole life, term life, IUL? Like, how do I know that what I'm showing them is like what they want or had in their head before we got on this call? Because if somebody has like 500,000 in their head and you show them a $10,000 whole life, it's going to make it really hard to close. So another kind of tip or trick that I like to use that kind of helps me overcome that is, once you've gone through needs analysis and maybe they are healthy, maybe they're not, I just say, Grady, I say 3 main kinds of life insurance. You got your accidental, does exactly what it sounds like, going to pay out if you die in an accident. It's great to have in addition to, probably not something we want just by itself. It's probably not going to happen, right? Right. Okay. And then you've got your term life. So Grady, a lot of times you hear people talking about life insurance. They talk about 200,000, 300,000, $1 million of coverage. Generally speaking, Grady, this is a term policy. Pros and cons. Pros are we're going to be able to get to these higher coverage amounts. Cons are they're not forever. On the flip side of the coin, we can look at something permanent. You'll have it forever. And then I explain it and I say, but we've got to be willing to accept less, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, or pay a little bit more. So And if they're healthy enough, Grady, based on that, what do you think is more important to you? Getting you as much coverage as possible for whatever you can't afford, like a term, or do you want something permanent? Because that just lays down the law like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, or we're going to look higher. And I'm asking them. So now when I'm showing them the options, it was what they told me. So there's not going to be like in the back of their head, is this really the best? Or wait, I kind of wanted 200,000. Why is she only showing me 10? Like, you see what I'm saying? So I feel like that helps with information constipation or like too much info or them trying to think they know things, right? Because we are the professionals. So I use that in there too, so I can show them the right thing when maybe they could go anyway.
That was fantastic. This is why you show up, guys. Can you do it? This is why you show up, because Mary's dropping absolute fire here. 3 goals, 3 different kinds. Okay. Anything else in there? Because I always love to get the close, right? Anything else you're doing to get social banking? You have the routing number. Like, what are some, like, the comp projections or price? Like, is there a way you show price, or get budget so then that you can show 3 options, or you 1 option? What's your philosophy in there?
Yeah, honestly, it depends. There are times where I'm like, Grady, this has got to be affordable. What's the amount you're comfortable? Is that 200 to 150, 150 to 100, or 100 under 100? Where are we at? Oh, 1 to 150. I'm like, great. I'm going to show you what 100, 125, and 150 a month gets you. And then I call it gold, silver, bronze. I say 150, Grady. It's at the top of your budget. I'm not sure I recommend it, but we can go higher if you'd like. It's just a place to start. You're going to get X amount of coverage. 125 right in the middle. What most people kind of do. This amount of coverage. And then honestly, Grady, this is what I recommend. You need something that's going to be breathable. We can always increase it down the road. If you're dying to, it's going to be this. And then, my job is a little bit different than, I got to submit the application, which option makes the most sense. And then I go into it. To be honest, when you lay down dominance like that from start to the middle, I don't get a lot of objections because you can hear it in my voice. Like, this is how we do things. I do this all day long. Like, this is how it goes. However, another tip and trick that I swear by, and it's helped me so much, is an app called Crankwheel. So gosh forbid I get an objection at social. I don't announce, and if you guys don't know what Crankwheel is, it's like a little extension you can get on your browser. And what you do is you click it, and then you type in the client's phone number and you send them a text, and they get a text on their phone that says, click here to join my meeting. And when they click it, they literally can see your computer screen. So they can see the application. So you can say, this is what I've been working on. Here's where it needs your social. What's your social? And then that gives them kind of like peace of mind. But one sales tip is don't announce it. I don't announce anything. It's like asking for permission. I don't want your permission. So I say, listen, Grady, go ahead, check your phone. I just sent you a text. Do you see it? Yeah, I see it. Okay, great. Go ahead and click on it. And then it'll show when they see your screen. Look at Grady. This is everything I've been working on. Nothing wrong with being secure, but this is to make sure we're insuring the right guy and that you qualify. What's your social? And then they can see me type it right in there. Just like knowing I'm here in Illinois, like Arizona in America. Like, I'm not scamming you. Here's the application. This is where all your other info is. That really helps. And then if you keep that on while you're going through an application, banking's usually no issue either because they see what you're doing. Like, they believe you now, if they didn't already before.
Yeah, you can also turn your camera on real quick and be like, hey, it's me in the corner, and then turn it off, right?
Exactly. And I actually do. I mean, it depends on how I look at home, but sometimes I do. I'm like, hey, can you see me? Don't worry. I can't see you in your couch on your jammies. It's not 2 ways, but this is what I've been working on. And then I explain. So when they're like, I don't feel comfortable giving you my social, I don't even like rebuttal it. I just say, I just sent you a text, go ahead and click it. And then I'm like, this is why I need it. And if I have to rebuttal it, I'll do it then when they're seeing my screen, but I don't rebuttal it until I do that. And I think, it works. I mean, it works every time because they see what you're doing. So if I were to get an objection, that is how I overcome it, for social or for banking. But it's really just like, what's my social? I don't like giving that out. Well, that's personal. Yeah, this is life insurance. It is personal. What's your social? Yeah. You know what I mean? Just like be very direct, kind, caring, loving, direct.
Love it. Okay, so how do we close? Last 30 seconds. What is your follow-up process? What is your,
Mhm.
are you sending flowers? Are you sending chocolates? Sending thank you cards? What do what is, how are we keeping business on the books? What are we doing to solidify? And guys, if you pay attention at all, great. But this is how you not only make $390, but you get to keep $390. So
very, 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 very important. So once I get off, like, I'm like, you know what? If it's Americo, I got to tell them it's approved. I want to talk to them more. So any other carrier, I'm going to say it's going to go off to underwriting and I'm going to call them back when I get an answer. Why? I want to talk to them. I want to keep talking to them. I built this rapport in this call. I want to keep talking to them. I want them to know. So number one, I'm like, yeah, no worries. I'm putting my info here. It's going to go off to underwriting, 24 to 48 hours till we hear back. Do you still have that pen and paper? Great. This is my cell phone. Please make sure you save it in your phone. Sometimes I'll have them do it right then and there. Mary Kraft life insurance. And I make a joke. Mary Kraft talks too much life insurance. Whatever you want, John. People pick the second one. I really don't know why. And then I have them write down everything that we did. Because if they don't know what the heck you just did, we're in big trouble. So I'm like, write down 500,000, write down $30, write down level, write down living benefits, write down America, write down A plus, whatever it is. I have them write it down. And then I'm like, I'm going to get you cleared out of the system here, but Grady, please just know if you filled out any other forms on life insurance, you are going to be so popular. You're going to get sales reps calling that I have no affiliation with. I cannot stop that. So unfortunately, if somebody calls you and they say life insurance or benefits, just tell them, take me off your list or hang up the phone. Do not say I already got it or I'm working on it. Cause then they're sales agents. They're going to say, that's exactly why I'm calling. I'm calling because there's actually some better rates. I'm just going to go over it with you. Or, somebody's my boss or a manager. Great. I don't have either one of those things. So if it's not me on the phone about this policy, like hang up the phone. And I'm like, and then they agree. They're like, oh yeah. Like I won't talk to anybody but you. And I'm like, great. Like, when we get off the phone, I'm going to shoot you a text too with everything that we applied for. So you have it, on your phone as well as in writing. That way it's there. As soon as I hear back, I'm going to call you. But if you need anything at all, Grady, please call or text that. Always have my cell phone. Like I'm here. And then we hang up. I say, do you have any questions? How'd I do for you? Hang up. And then I call them the next day or the day after whenever I have a decision. Usually it's good news. If you vet the client correctly, use integrity, whatever, you should get it from the jump. And it's like, hey, great news. We got it approved. You're stuck with me. And then I book another call. I'm like, what's going to happen now? They're going to mail you that policy packet. It's like a book. Don't worry. You'll get it 7 to 10 days. Let's book a call for about 2 weeks out. I want to make sure you got it. Let's run through it. If we want to make changes, increase it, we can. 2 weeks is March 3rd. What time's going to be best? And then I make them book it. Make them book that appointment. I book it. I put it on my calendar. They get reminders and then I call them. And then you got to call them again. You don't just sell the policy and run away because you're scared they're going to cancel. You call them. John, hey, it's Mary. Did you get that packet in the mail? Amazing. Bigger question. John, did you even open it yet? 9 times out of 10, no, I didn't. I'm like, no worries. I'm just so glad you got it. When you go through it, if you have questions, you know where to find me, okay? Okay, great. Because if they don't get a packet, which it does happen sometimes, you best believe they're going to cancel. So you got to do it. I call them back 2 days later. I call them back 2 weeks later. And then I do annual reviews or they call me. So, that's the most important part.
Not being an invisible agent, right? Being someone who communicates. Maybe they want to change their beneficiary. Maybe they want to switch the bank account. Nobody knows. But you build a great trust and rapport. Mm-hmm. If they do want to cancel, generally it's because they spoke to someone else because we didn't prepare them for that. And the person now is lying to them because you would have done your absolute best. Or they can't communicate with you and now they're confused that someone scammed them. So that's why they cancel. So that if you just don't do the things that bad agents do and do things that good agents like Mary do, you're going to have massive 90+% persistency. So
1,000%. Mary,
you're phenomenal. And I'm cheering on the future for you because we need the FFL and the insurance world needs more Mary Kraft. Do you have any final thoughts, rally cry, any more 1,000 points a day tip? I'm going to take that. I'm going to grant it to Nicolette, but I'm going to maybe use that on every call going forward. Anything as we close out today?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing from convention that stuck with me was Trey. And he said, a lot of you want to be $1 million a year producer, or maybe we can even say a $400,000 a year producer, but you need to ask yourself, will you? And I think that that's so big here. So ask yourself, will you be a 20K, 30K, 40K month producer? Because it's up to you and your actions that you do every single day. So rip the phones, get to work, and put in the activity.
I love it, Mary. Then final question. What is your personal production goal and what's your team goal by the end of the year?
So personal production, I'm going to do it based on a year. 600,000 AP for this year is my personal production goal. And then team, I would love to be up and running at about 400,000 a month or 500,000 a month by the end of the year.
I would bet on that. I bet on both of those things that coming true. You're a rock star. Great job, Nicolette. Great job, the entire team. And great job to you, Mary. Thank you for all you shared. And we're better with you. And holy cow, the future is bright for you and the family, and taking over. We need a new queen of Illinois. Stan's out there making some noise, but it's time for Mary to take over. So
Thank you so much. It was a blast. I hope you guys got something from this. And if you ever need anything, just let me know.
yes, MK in the chat below, light it up, show her some love. Thank you, Mary. Have an amazing
Thank
day.
you. Bye, guys.
All right, guys. I mean, this is why you show up. There was so much gold in that call. And if you're watching now on YouTube, rewind it. Make sure you're taking notes, right? The body doesn't know what you're doing unless you take pen to paper and write it down. It is an incredible time we have to have such great people like Mary winning, thriving here, and also helping others get better. So grateful to her and grateful to all of you for investing this time in yourself. Join me back here next week live. But without further ado, here's your moment of Zen. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye for now.
I'll delete your fear of rejection. Pay attention. Rejection isn't failure, it's proof you had the courage to try. It's not the opposite of success, it's the price you pay to become a better version of yourself. You don't get chosen without first getting overlooked. Every no brings you one step closer to a yes. You get rejected, you readjust, you rise. That's not rejection. That's redirection towards something better. You need to get this. Fear stands for false evidence appearing real. Stop being afraid of something that's not happened yet. If rejection scares you, staying stuck should terrify you. You've never gotten better when things were easy, because comfort never changed anyway. But the courage to show up, that's where transformation starts.